أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد المرسلين خاتم النبيين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. عباد الله، أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله وطاعته، وأحذركم وإياي عن عصيانه تعالى ومخالفة أمره. يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: من عمل صالحا فلنفسه ومن أساء فعليها وما ربك بظلام للعبيد. We begin, my dear brothers and sisters, as we always do, by entering into a state of ibadah, a state of worship, in which we step into a space, we imagine ourselves stepping into a space, and in which we empty our hearts and minds from all of the thoughts and the emotions that course through them as a result of the vicissitudes of our lives. And in this state of inner quiescence and peace and calmness, we feel ourselves surrounded by the presence of our Almighty God and Creator. And in this state, we feel our hearts submitted and submitting to Him, and feel it as if our hearts are declaring in the language of hearts that we bear witness that there is no God but God, the one and only God, our Creator, the all-merciful, the all-compassionate, the Almighty, the all-powerful, light of the heavens and the earth, who created us to be His Khalifas on earth, to be His representatives, His ambassadors on earth, with the express purpose to worship Him in a manner that is appropriate for such an ambassador. We bear witness that there is no God but He alone. We complete this testimony of faith by bearing witness to our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is His beloved servant and messenger, whom Allah sent to be the last of the prophets and messengers that He sent to mankind, to teach mankind how to live a life that is pleasing to God. God has declared in His holy book, the Quran al-Karim, that whoever of you does good, you've done it for your own benefit, for your own sake. And whoever wrongs has only wronged his own soul, for your Lord is not unjust to His servant. My dear brothers and sisters, we are now 2 weeks into the month of Muharram, the first month of the new year of 1444 of the Hijri year. And today I would like to repeat a theme that I have mentioned every new year, and that is the practice that we have in the West of making New Year resolutions. A new year usually ushers a new page in our lives, like a new day or a new week or a new month. Is new in the sense that every day and every month and every week ushers in a new set of events. Some are bound to be pleasing, some saddening, some calming, some exciting in either a positive or negative way. I've referred in past New Year's khutbas to the customary practices that we in America have here. One that I like and admire the most is the making of New Year's resolutions. And therefore I urged you then, and I repeat this recommendation, to resolve to committing yourselves to at least one new action, no matter how small, that you can maintain, that would enhance your religious or spiritual practice. So it therefore behooves us, brothers and sisters, to review our acts of worship and perhaps renew our pledge to a new action. This is because none of us is perfect. There's always something that we can do to better improve ourselves. So today I invite you to examine your religious practice, identify all the weak points that you readily recognize, and pledge to improve it in some way. It can either be the addition of something good or the resolution to stop doing something that you know is not. As I mentioned in the beginning, Allah has informed us that He has created us for no other purpose than to worship Him. Therefore, brothers and sisters, should we not then urge ourselves to examine ourselves and to learn as best as we can what it means to worship Him? We all know what constitutes perfect worship. We all know our own shortcomings, and therefore it is upon us to strive to perfect our worship. And because we were created to worship Allah, the first thing that Allah will examine on the scales of Judgment Day will be our worship. As Allah mentions in the Quran, for those who do not believe or did not believe in Allah during their lives on earth, Allah will not even bother to weigh their actions, for they will be doomed to hell. This is indicated in the last verse of Surah Al-Kahf, Surah number 18, verses 103 to 106. The verses read, قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا أُولَئِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ وَلِقَائِهِ فحبطت أعمالهم فلا نقيم لهم يوم القيامة وزنا ذلك جزاؤهم جهنم بما كفروا واتخذوا آياتي ورسلي هزوا. In English, these verses mean, say, shall we inform you of the greatest losers? They are those whose efforts are misguided in the life of this world, while they think they are doing good actions or good work. These are those who disbelieve in the verses of their Lord and in meeting Him. So their deeds are worthless, and we shall not establish scales for them on Judgment Day. Hell is their recompense for their denial and for having ridiculed my signs and my messengers. For those who have rejected Allah, they have naturally rejected Allah's purpose in creating them, which is to worship Him. So they will all be banished to hell, and their deeds will not need to be weighed. In a hadith, the Prophet said that the first actions to be weighed on Judgment Day will be our salah, our prayers. If they are found to be good, then our other actions will be weighed. This hadith, together with the Quranic verses I just quoted before that, prove that Allah created us for the purpose of worshiping Him, because the very first thing that Allah tests us on is on what He created us for. It makes sense that Allah would therefore begin judging us on Judgment Day with those things that are most important to Him, and to judge us in the order of priority of the most important first, the second most important second, the third most important third, etc. down the line. You would not expect Allah to start judging us by something irrelevant, like by how well you can make a cup of tea. For even if that were important, it is way further down the line of importance. From these Quranic verses and this hadith, brothers and sisters, we can conclude that Allah will begin testing us on Judgment Day with His priorities, the reasons why He created us, namely by how well we worship Him, how well we remember Him, how well we adore Him, how well we pray to Him, etc. You also quoted in our khutbah previously that Allah informs us in the Quran that our best exemplars are the prophets, Abraham and his community, and also our Prophet Muhammad and his companions, about whose life we know more than any other religious community knows about their own prophets. Surah Al-Ahzab, Surah 33, verse 21, Allah declares, "Indeed, there is for you in Allah's Messenger an excellent example or a paragon for whomever desires Allah and the last day and remembers Allah often or frequently. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا." In Surah Mumtahina, Surah 60, verses 4 and 6, قد كانت لكم أسوة حسنة في إبراهيم والذين معه إذ قالوا لقومهم إن براء منكم ومما تعبدون من دون الله. There is for you an excellent example in Abraham and those who were with him when they said to their community or their contemporaries, "Indeed, we are innocent of you and what you worship other than Allah." لقد كان لكم فيهم أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر ومن يتولى فإن الله هو الغني الحميد. Indeed, there is for you in them an excellent example for whomever desires Allah and the last day. But whoever turns away, Allah is beyond need and He is praiseworthy. So you see how Allah praises in the Quran both the Prophet Muhammad and Ibrahim in several verses. In another verse, Allah tells the Prophet actually, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, and indeed you are of excellent behavior. Surah Al-Qalam, Surah 68, verse 4. Another example is وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, and we have not sent you except as a mercy to the worlds. Al-Anbiya, Surah 21, verse 107. So this means, brothers and sisters, that we too should be of excellent behavior. We too should be merciful to creation if we want to emulate the Prophet's Sunnah to the very maximum that we can. Quran also calls Ibrahim Awahun Halim, meaning kind, clement, forbearing, merciful. And yet he was absolutely resolute when it came to fulfilling Allah's commands. Does it not strike you as an unusual combination of attributes that a person whom Allah calls tender, merciful, clement would agree to Allah's commandment to kill his only son because Allah commanded him to do that? It is this resoluteness in obeying Allah's clear commands combined with the gentleness of demeanor that marks the character of Ibrahim, and the same with our Prophet Muhammad. Indeed, as many of you know, our Prophet Muhammad said that of all the prophets, he resembled Ibrahim the most. Describing these two exemplars that the Quran urges us to emulate, we note then that they combine the aspect of being a mercy to the worlds, being compassionate, kind, tender-hearted, and yet resolute in fulfilling Allah's commands. Keep these two character traits in mind, my dear brothers and sisters. If there's anything that should brand our worship, these two are it. The excellence of these two prophets as our exemplars is also underlined by the fact that we recite in every tashahhud, in every prayer, when we are seated, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alameen innaka hamidun majid. O Allah, bestow your salawats and your blessings upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, as you have bestowed your salawats and your blessings upon Ibrahim and the family of Ibrahim. We therefore mention, brothers and sisters, Ibrahim's name 4 times in each tashahhud, times 5 prayers a day, means you mention Ibrahim's name a minimum of 20 times daily if all you do are the fard prayers. To the sunnah, double it. Muhammad's name we mention once more if we perform a salah more than 2 rakats, like the Dhuhr, Maghrib, and Isha. So the question that this raises for us, brothers and sisters, is how much further can we go in following Ibrahim and our Prophet Muhammad's examples? This is the quest that I urge you to follow, brothers and sisters. This is the suggestion that I have for you today, which is to identify one aspect of their sunnah that you think you can further adopt and follow and pledge to commit to performing it. For example, some of you maybe are not regular in your prayers. Well, maybe you can commit to being more regular. Maybe some of you skip the Dhuhr and Asr prayers because you're at work and have difficulty performing them at your place of work. Maybe you can commit to not skipping them. You can perform them in Jam' or Qada, but do not skip them because they're a duty upon us and a debt that we owe to Allah. Maybe some of you are not yet able to pray the dawn prayer, the Fajr prayer before sunrise. When it becomes Qada, maybe you can make a commitment to rising before sunrise, waking up and praying the dawn prayer, the Fajr prayer regularly in time. Some of you may not be praying the 2 rakats of Sunnah or Fajr. Well, maybe you can start to do so. And remember that the Prophet said the 2 rakats of Sunnah or Fajr were more precious to him than the world and all it contains. This means, brothers and sisters, that the Prophet would not stop performing those prayers even if you offered him all the billions and trillions of dollars of wealth of the world. How many of us would succumb if you offered us, $100 million to stop performing the Sunnah of Fajr? Your New Year resolution does not necessarily have to be about prayer. Maybe charity is something that is appealing to you. You can commit to giving a regular amount, a weekly amount, a monthly amount, or an annual amount to 1 or more charities. And please remember that we at the Cordoba House also qualify as such a charity. Or maybe you can commit to giving a larger amount this year to charity, to 1 or more charities that you do not even have to determine right now. The point is to make a resolution that you will definitely keep and that increases your reward. It may be that in addition to the month of Ramadan that you regularly fast, that you resolve to fast an additional day or 2 or 3 every month, or to fast every Monday, or every Monday and every Thursday. But your New York resolution regarding improving your religious practice does not even have to be in matters of ibadat, rituals or worship. It could also be muamalat. Could resolve to be more truthful, to be less critical and more forgiving of people. You could be more encouraging of people to make them better. There are many, many ways to be a positive influence in the lives of people around you. And Allah rewards us for any and all of these actions. You know the hadith of the Prophet, where he urges us to give charity, and that even if we have nothing to give, just greeting your fellow human being with a smile is an act of charity. If you're not in the habit of smiling, maybe you should start trying it and see if it has any impact on your life. If it does, then this feedback is proof of the validity and relevance of the Prophet's teachings. And as we say in America, when you smile at the world will smile back at you. Another thing you can do is to stop doing something that you know is sinful. So both the elimination of the good counts as a good deed, as it is the doing of a good deed. Therefore, brothers and sisters, as we are in this month of Muharram, beginning this Islamic New Year, I urge you to commit yourselves to a regular action, no matter how small, that you know will be well received by Allah, that Allah will definitely reward you for, that improves the quality of your worship, that improves your fulfillment of the very purpose that Allah specifically created us for. Going back to Salah, some of you may not be in the habit of praying tahajjud. Well, make an effort. Start praying at least 4 rakats of tahajjud every night. Do it before you go to sleep, no matter what time you sleep. Or if you get up for Fajr, wake up 15, 20 minutes earlier and perform that regularly. So brothers and sisters, as we begin this new year, this new Hijri year, think of what some resolution you can do to improve your acts of worship and to raise the maqam of your khilafah, to raise the rank of your being Allah's ambassador. Brothers and sisters, may Allah help us in our resolutions and being resolute in our resolutions and practicing them. May Allah help us in being a mercy to the worlds. Ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Pray to Allah that He may answer our dua. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له المتعالي على المشاركة والمشاكلة لسائر البشر ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله النبي المعتبر واعلموا أن الله تعالى صلى على نبيه قديما فقال تعالى ولم يزل قائلا عليما وآمرا حكيما تنبيها لكم وتعليما وتشريفا لقدر النبي وتعظيما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد وعرض عن الأربعة الخلفاء السادة الحنفاء المميزين بعده بالرعاية والولاية والاصطفاء ذوي القدر العلي والفخر الجلي ساداتنا وموالينا وأئمتنا أبي بكر الصديق وعمر وعثمان وعلي وارض عن السبطين السعيدين السيدين الشهيدين القمرين النيرين سر شباب أهل الجنة في الجنة وريحان نبي هذه الأمة الإمام أبي محمد الحسن والإمام أبي عبد الله الحسين وعن أمهما فاطمة الزهراء وعن جدتهما خديجة الكبرى وعن عائشة أم المؤمنين وعن بقية أزواج رسول الله أجمعين وعن التابعين وتابع التابعين وتابعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات يا رب العالمين. اللهم وأيد الإسلام وأعلي وانصر كلمة الحق والإيمان. اللهم اجعل خير زماننا آخرة وخير أعمالنا خواتيمها وخير أيامنا يوم لقائك وارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا. اللهم ارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا. اللهم ارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك ولا يرحمنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم أصلح أحوالنا وبلغنا مما يرضيك آمالنا، واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا، وبالسعادة آجالنا، وتوفنا وأنت راض عنا يا رب العالمين. أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش الكريم أن يغفر لي ولكم والمسلمين أجمعين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي، يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. واذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم، وأقم الصلاة.